6 p.m. in Boya, chief town of the southwest region. Same time right here in the economic capital city, Douala. Good evening, dear viewers. Thank you so much for joining me on today's edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast. I am called Immaculate Fogwe. First, our major stories. The former divisional officer of Lekonje in Kribi, south region of Cameroon, Frank Delon Eyono Ebang, has been found guilty of murder at the Boloa military court. He is accused of shooting to death his supposed 23-year-old lover, Lydian Solange. What exactly happened on that fateful July 25th, 2020? And what exactly are some of the latest developments concerning this case? Answers in the course of this newscast. That is our lone major story. Stay with us for details and more. Much for staying tuned to programs on Equinoxe television. We begin with a sad story where after years of tension and pain, the Boloa military court finally declares Frank Delon Eyono, former divisional officer of Lekonje in Kribi, guilty. This is following investigations launched on the murder case of a 23-year-old university student of Douala, allegedly murdered by the divisional officer of Lekonje. We have details with Ese Luciliengo.
4 years after investigations were launched following the alleged murder case of 23-year-old Lydian Solange Tapa in Kribi, the Eboloa military court in the south region finds Frank Delin Eyono Ebango, former divisional officer of Lekonje in Kribi, guilty. Frank Delin Oyono was declared guilty of murder on Wednesday, January 3, 2024, by the investigating judge following thorough examination of the evidence presented. The murder of the pregnant 23-year-old shook the entire country and even her family members who demanded for justice. Despite several requests made by the DO, the victim's family was bent on seeking for justice for their daughter. According to Barrister Albert Oye from the Universal Lawyers and Human Rights Defense, whom we got on Equinoxe Radio, says the declaration by the military court has amplified the pain which the victim's family has had for the past years. He adds that murder, according to the Cameroon Penal Code, is considered as felony, which is punishable with death or with loss of liberty for a maximum of more than 10 years. So it is with this criteria that the military court decides to punish the suspect. The 23-year-old student of the University of Douala was murdered on the 25th of July 2020. The case has been reserved for March 6, 2024.
Coming up, our reporter Babile Jonathan spent a night with a vigilante committee in one of the high crime-prone areas of Douala, precisely in Oyak. He now tells us how the committee is bent on securing the neighborhood in that part of the country. His report.
Dakar in the Douala 3 subdivision, nicknamed Ter, referring to a meeting point of criminal gangs.
Before I came to Dakar, other people were asking me not to come here because it's a place that they call it Ter, where thieves usually gather.
Actions of forces of law and order and vigilante committees are gradually eroding away this reputation of insecurity in Madagascar, popularly known as Dakar.
The situation now is better.
What exactly are the vigilante committees doing? How are they going about what they are doing? To answer these questions, we decided to spend a night with one of the vigilante committees, that of Oyak 2, one of the most organized and active in the area. From the busy Dakar runabout, as we progressed to Pont Blanchisseur, we meet a security post. Upon our arrival at the Porterhead's residence, vigilante committee members arrived to take instructions for the night. The headquarters instructs them
Vous devez d'abord vous respecter entre vous.
To be respectful, polite and law-abiding in the discharge of their duties. Added to the 4 on duty, out of 10 are 2 security dogs. The night patrol is about to begin. The vigilante committee president Zenda Emmanuel tells us that
On peut faire des rassemblements.
this is the Mission Assembly Ground and 9 others are yet to be constructed at different entrance and exit points.
C'était l'un des secteurs les plus dangereux de la ville de Douala.
He says Pont Blanchisseur was one of the most dangerous places in Douala, and since the Wuri prefect Benjamin Boutou installed the Vigilante Committee January 12, 2023, they have been developing strategies to curb insecurity. This is why, after the General Controller, Nyakam Patrice has finished ensuring that everyone is at his duty post, some of them will stay here to check those coming in and going out of the quarter. Even vehicles are screened. From this security post, the members of the Vigilante Committee are deployed across the Oyaktu neighborhood. Throughout the night, they move from one part of the neighborhood to the other, ensuring that no security threats are prevailing.
C'est pas facile. Même nettoyer les ce n'est pas facile, chose aisée.
As pointed out by Security Chief Njilajir, it is both a difficult and dangerous task for these young men who stay outdoor all night long, going after suspected bandits who are sometimes better equipped than they are.
De temps en temps, il faut que je les motive, je les encourage.
Thus, the quarter head's request for support from the population.
Une motivation de 1000 francs.
A support of 1,000 francs CFA for each home per month, while acknowledging assistance from administrative, police and gendarmerie authorities. They want more.
Des motos, comme des talking-walking.
Motorcycles to facilitate movement, walking talkies, among other things.
Nous pouvons rentrer dans notre quartier même s'il est n'importe quelle heure.
Like him, inhabitants of Oyaktu can now move around with little or no fear, even at late hours of the night.
Je rentre aux heures tardives et la sécurité m'accompagne jusqu'à domicile.
Some, like Marie Noel, who sells roasted fish late into the night, are often accompanied to their houses by the Vigilante Committee members.
Cameroonian Jesuit priest Father Ludovic Lado has launched a political movement for change in Cameroon. The movement, known as the Serve Movement, aims at mobilizing all Christians and denominations in the country to thrive for positive change through registration on the electoral list, voting and also praying. Innocent Aze reports.
To serve and not to serve oneself is the motto of the political movement Serve, initiated by renowned Cameroonian Jesuit priest Father Ludovic Lado, aimed at accelerating the drive towards change by 2025 and beyond.
Que le mouvement Servir n'est pas un parti politique, mais plutôt une plateforme de mobilisation de l'électorat chrétien pour un changement qualitatif au Cameroun.
This will require the mobilization of every Christian and denominations in Cameroon.
Notre stratégie à court terme.
Our three main components in the short run are register, vote, and pray. Everybody must pray for leaders who fear God and who care about the poor.
Et qui se soucient des pauvres.
Every good Christian, he says, must commit themselves.
La mission paraît impossible.
The mission seems impossible, but never forget, nothing is impossible to God.
Et la justice sociale.
Father Ludovic Lado regrets a country like Cameroon, with at least 65 to 70% of Christians, is so drowned into darkness of bad governance, incivility, injustice, and mediocrity.
Où sont et que font?
Where are these numbers of Christians, and what have they been doing in this country? What went wrong? Let's be honest, we Christians are not Christians enough. If not, Cameroon will not be in the darkness of injustice and poor governance. We were supposed to be salt of the earth and lights of this country, yet we are not.
À la destruction de notre pays.
Father Ludovic thinks for Cameroon to change positively from this 2024, everyone has to change, starting with the Christians.
Jésus t'appelle, toi chrétien, à te convertir et à t'engager résolument pour le service du bien commun et de la justice sociale.
To other news, Cameroon joins the world to commemorate World Braille Day, a significant date chosen to honor the birth of Louis Braille, the inventor of the writing and reading system for visually impaired people. Despite its importance, access to Braille remains a major challenge given its very high cost Our reporter Cedric Chakutio met with some visually impaired people and he now explains to us the different challenges faced by people suffering with visual impairment. Details in this report.
Lack of job and limitation to education are some of the many challenges faced by the blind people. These challenges were outlined during a meeting they had with their president on the occasion of the World Braille Day, celebrated every 4th of January, a significant date chosen to honor the birth of Louis Braille, the inventor of the writing and reading system for blind and visually impaired people.
On appelle le cubarythme. Voilà les cues qu'on introduit là dans ces différents trous à l'intérieur de ces différents carreaux.
This international celebration highlights not only the importance of Braille as a communication tool, but also its vital role in education, freedom of expression, and access to information for people with visual impairments.
Une écriture adaptée pour les personnes handicapées visuelles qui comporte 6 points disposés en 2 colonnes.
Despite its importance, access to Braille remains a major challenge. Producing Braille materials can be expensive and the education of specialist teachers is crucial. It is a very expensive material that is not sold in Cameroon, but is commanded abroad. Without this material, the blind cannot go to school. When you only take the tablet, it costs 4,000 francs, and the Braille itself 750,000 francs to 1 million francs. You see, it's very expensive for us.
Si vous prenez une machine Braille, elle vous coûtera à peu près 750 000 à 1 million.
In addition, with the Braille literacy rate estimated at only 10% among the blind, there is a need to promote the learning and use of Braille.
It's not a non-something in university. It's not like you go and you have maybe someone to transcribe your handouts from maybe the printed version to the Braille version.
The blind and visual impaired people in Cameroon on this day ask for more subvention and help from the government for them to have access to the Braille system.
And now we talk sports. Andre Onana won't be part of the national football team till January 14, 2024. This comes after Andre Onana's club, Manchester United, requested to keep the player. Despite several questions hovering about his whereabouts or why he's not part of the squad, football analysts say it's not the first time that a player comes late during such matches. Smajikan Gabriel tells us more.
Sport lovers woke up to the news about Andre Onana joining the national team of Cameroon 24 hours before the indomitable Lions will take on the Sili National of Guinea in their first outing at the AFCON on January 15, 2024. Most of them asked the question, how possible will Andre Onana fit into the plans of head coach Rigobert Sombana when he hasn't camped with the team presently in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia? For a recap, Andre Onana's case is not the first within the national football team. During the 1984 AFCON that took place in Ivory Coast, Thomas Nkono was forced to abandon the national team.
And still in sports, in few days to come, Ivory Coast will begin hosting the 34th edition of the African Nations Cup. On our special series today, we present to you the national hosting or the nation hosting the AFCON and how prepared they are for the Sosa Festival. Once more, Smajikan Gabriel reports.
Ivory Coast will be the point of conventions in days to come as hostilities of the African Nations Cup begins. Ivory Coast is hosting this tournament for the first time in 40 years after it lastly hosted in 1984. Way back in 1984, just 8 teams participated in the tournament that saw host Ivory Coast being eliminated at the group stages, while Cameroon went ahead to win its first AFCON trophy on Ivorian soil. The 2023 edition of the AFCON will have 24 nations battle it out in 52 matches played across 5 cities. To better prepare for the competition, the country spent up to $1 billion for the construction of modern infrastructures to host the tournament. 4 new stadiums were built from scratch, while 2 others were renovated. Roads to connect the cities were developed, hospitals built or upgraded, an airport refurbished with lights added on the runway to enable night landings. The organizers are hoping that with the development done, it will leave a lasting legacy and mark a new beginning for the country, which has suffered from civil wars in the last 2 decades. Ivory Coast, as a host nation, has a soccer pedigree, having won the trophy twice before and has produced stars like Didier Drogba and Yaya Touré. The opening match of the 34th edition of the AFCON will be played on January 13, 2024 at one of the newly built stadiums, the Alassane Ouattara Sports Field in the southern port city of Abidjan. The Elephants of Ivory Coast will tackle Guinea-Bissau.
That's it for the first part of the news. Talking Point is up next. Thank you so much for staying with us. To obtain an exit visa from Cameroon, you must be in good standing with the tax authorities. The new finance law stipulates that everyone wishing to obtain an exit visa from a foreign embassy is required to present what they now call a tax compliance certificate. Social media influencers are also not exempted from paying this type of tax. Tonight, I'll be receiving an economist, Edmond Kwate, and we'll be discussing on how this tax works. Good evening, Edmond Kwate. It is a pleasure having you on Talking Point tonight. Tell us more about the new finance law that compels Cameroonians requesting for an exit visa to show proof of their compliance certificate.
Well, first of all, it's vital to recall that 2 years ago, that was in 2022, Cameroon government announced its will to increase the fiscal pressure from 11.25% up to 13% of the GDP. So it was a 3 years program that started in 2022 and it will keep on increasing until 2025. Already in 2022, they added the pressure, the fiscal pressure, up to 0.75%, and in this new financial law 2024 is going to be, I think, 0.5%, and in 2024-2025 they will definitely take it up to 13% of the GDP. Well, now coming back to your main concern, that is the the new financial law whereby Cameroonians will have to show proof of their full compliance with the taxes before being eligible to an exit visa from Cameroon. Well, the Cameroon government realized that since they want to mobilize more and more resources, they used to, concentrate only on the formal sector. So it's very difficult for them only to concentrate on the formal sector and then achieve their goal. So now their main target is the informal sector, and we want to make sure that they collect taxes from everybody. And since the taxpayers have this problem, they always look for a way to kind of dodge the tax and then not paying their taxes. So they are actually looking for a way they will have to push all the citizens actually to fully comply with their taxes. So this is a new document that you will have to show that you are fully pay your taxes. You have in compliance with the taxes before you are eligible to a visa to exit from Cameroon.
Edmond Kwate, you just mentioned business owners. What about those who are unemployed? How are they supposed to present their up-to-date tax documents?
Then in that case, you have to prove that you don't have any employment, that you are unemployed, and then that you get no activity at all. But still, then you have to prove, it's up to you to prove how you are living, how you are making life, how you are, your day-to-day living. It will be up to you to prove it, because if you already, the idea here is that if already you are capable to pay a visa fee, you are capable to pay a flying ticket, you are capable to plan a trip out, then it definitely means you are having an income somewhere. It could be from employment activity or from trade activity, for whatsoever activity, you are having an income. That is the idea behind this law, that any person which is capable to pay a flying ticket, who is capable to plan a trip out there, who is capable to pay a visa fee, who is capable to, to fulfill all the conditions actually to get a visa, because everybody knows that to get a visa to travel out of Cameroon requires some conditions that, some financial conditions that you got to pay. So if the legislator understand that if you are able to fully comply with all these conditions that require a visa, then it means you are having an income somewhere, and then definitely from out of this income you must be able to pay your taxes.
With this new finance law, we noticed that influencers and other online workers will be affected. How does the government plan deducting the 5% tax from these people?
That's where my concern is, because when I saw that too, I was very concerned how practically that's going to be doable, because we know that in Cameroon, like I said before, taxes is declarative, and then we are not paying taxes. We paying taxes not on the turnover, but from the benefit we make. And I don't know how the turnover of all these influencers, all the people making the e-commerce, all the people doing their digital works and things, what you call influencers, people are shouting, screaming in the Facebook and all the social medias day in, day out, and they are making a living out of it. I don't know how it's going to be calculated, because are they going to define their turnover, and how are they going to define their benefit? I don't know how that is going to be done. Practically, I myself was still asking questions, how are they going to do that? But probably the guy with the tax office, probably they know the method, how they are going to calculate that. But to me, practically, it's going to be very difficult, because I try to work through it and see how it's going to be done. For instance, I took an activity. People doing the e-commerce, these are people who go in a particular shop, and then they take a particular good, and then they took it, they put it on the Facebook, they post it on the Facebook, they kind of advertise it on Facebook, and if somebody want to buy it, then the person will pay, then they will go and pay in that particular shop, and to go and supply to their customer. So it simply means they are kind of intermediate in between a particular shop and a customer. So it means they don't have any turnover. So how do they declare? I don't understand how it's going to work. I believe that the guys of the taxations, they have thought about it, and then maybe they have put a kind of particular method in place to calculate all this. I don't know myself. I'm also like you. I want to know how this is going to be feasible.
But then, I would like to know, and also our viewers would definitely want to know, does this law concern only Cameroonians, or foreigners are equally included?
Are not involved, because normally foreigners are not supposed to pay any tax in Cameroon. They are supposed to pay their taxes where they are in their country. For like Cameroonians, they are not supposed to pay tax if they are working out there. If they are working in, it depends on the law. There are some countries whereby you are supposed to pay your taxes where in your country. But I know in Cameroon, foreigners are not supposed to. Only foreigners who are actually having a business in Cameroon. If you are having a business in Cameroon, then definitely you have to pay your taxes normally. But those who are working, foreigners who are working in Cameroon, they don't need any visa to go out of Cameroon. They don't need any visa at all, because then if they have to go back, if they are legally living in Cameroon, it simply means they can legally go out of Cameroon. So they are not concerned by the law.
Tell us, what is your overall appraisal of this new financial law?
My opinion is that definitely it is going to be very tough in Cameroonians, since the Cameroon government wants to mobilize more public resources. It's going to be very tough, because if you go through this financial law, you will see that many things are going to increase. Like, for instance, I saw that the oil, for instance, is going to increase as from next year. Vegetable oils, I'm talking of vegetable oil, is going to increase because there is a special tax on it as from next year. And my opinion is also that the government want to really put some incentive measures in place to encourage people to produce locally, which is good. To my point of view, is good. But I think what they got to do is to try to sensitize Cameroonians, I mean, to go through this financial law and see what can be, how they can benefit from this financial law, because there are many provisions in this financial law that can really benefit some Cameroon business guys. So they just got to go through it and then see how they can benefit from it.
The multiplication of methods and revenue collection justifies that the state of Cameroon is in financial crisis. How true is this allegation?
If you follow the speech of the president, last 31st December, you understand that Cameroon is really in difficulty, because there he mentioned the difficulty of Cameroon to actually mobilize from abroad, because he said it's very difficult for not only Cameroon but many countries. It's now very difficult to mobilize funds from abroad, simply because Europe is in very tough situation financially now. So, and they are the main fund providers in the world after China, because you got China and then you got the Western countries. They are the main fund providers. Now that they are having a lot of problems since the crisis between Ukraine and Russia started, and then they decided to bring up some sanctions on Russia, and then that turned back on them like a boomerang and then put their economy in difficulties. So now it's very difficult to mobilize funds. So today is very difficult. The safes of Cameroon are quite empty. Everybody knows it. And more beside, we having a huge problem of debt service, which is very huge and very hard. So most of the effort of the government in Cameroon is now to to kind of pay the debt. The debt service that we are having is very tough. So the safe of Cameroon, all our safers are empty. So Cameroon want to mobilize. Cameroon government is trying by all possible means to mobilize the public resources to be able to respond to the challenges that they got here and there.
Thank you so much, Edmond Kwate, for being my guest tonight. And that's what put an end to today's edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for your keen attention. Stay in the company of more interesting programs on ETV.